Hey, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from Circuit World here in Blue Ridge, and it's time for Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley. And we want to thank Georgia Cancer Specialist for this segment. Dr. Whaley, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
We have your tab.
Yeah, I got my tab. We're going to start on technology.
We're going to start on technology?
Yeah.
What do we got?
Well, we're sitting here looking at this picture on all these televisions.
Yes.
And that one is clearly better. Now, he just got through saying it's 4G, FYI, NAACP or something. I didn't understand a bit of it, okay? Now, you were talking about these.
I'm with you. I know.
Right.
The thing is I understood that.
All right, you were talking about these Bluetooth speakers. Now,
Yes.
Okay, now, I understand Bluetooth.
Okay.
But I was standing over here, and I got a nurse that's got one of these things, and I've seen this thing advertised. This says, home voice-activated speaker by Google. Okay? Just start and say, play music by Sia. Set a 13-minute timer for pizza. What's nice to meet you in Korea? Now, I want you to know, somebody gave me one of these things, and I can't set it up. But this thing will do anything. My nurse told me that you can say into that thing, I need a 13-minute pasta recipe, and they get a chicken pasta recipe, and then you can say, I burned the pasta, order a pizza, and that thing will do it. So this is way past me, but anyway, that TV is amazing.
Well,
all right.
Technology today. I like the Bluetooth speakers. I have Bluetooth speakers in my house.
Well, your phone's Bluetooth. I mean,
right,
everybody understands Bluetooth, but not that thing right there that'll.
No, I don't understand Bluetooth.
Okay.
I don't understand the technology.
Oh, I don't either, but I know how to work the thing.
The only thing I know about Bluetooth is when it says ready to pair.
Yeah.
And
well, that's right. Well, plus
that's all I need to know.
Plus, then you can talk to your car while both hands are on the wheel. Only on my new truck, not my old truck.
The new truck you
can. The new truck, you punch a button while you drive and say, call BKP, and you don't have to take your hands off or anything.
How come you never call if you can do that?
You don't answer. All right, go ahead.
Dr. Whaley has his tab. You know, this week, I was in the, you know that guy Rick?
Of course.
Okay. Well, that guy Rick, this week, we were over at Ingles, and he said, hold on, before I leave, I have to go get my tab. So we had to go down there so he could buy his tab. Dr. Whaley, this morning,
all right,
we have three pretty deep questions. And the last question I want to make sure we get to and we spend some time on because it's
the first one's not that deep.
Okay, the first one's not that deep.
No.
Is there a condition which could cause my hearing to become more sensitive? I noticed normal sounds, TV, radio, or a crowd seems louder than usual, and I have continually lowered the sound on the TV in the last few months. So I wondered what caused this. Could it be more sensitive?
Well, first of all, you might be married to me and I don't hear well, and I turn it up, and then you come back in the room and you think you hear better, and you turn it down, you go out and come back and turn it down. So I was kidding about that. And I'm told that
I think there's some truth to that.
Okay, all right. And I was told that some people couldn't hear us last week because this wasn't turned up good enough. But to be honest with you, if that condition is actually present and brand new and relatively extreme, there's only one medical condition that does that, and that is called spontaneous intracranial hypotension. And that means that there's cerebrospinal fluid leaking out of your head, and it's a serious neurological event, and you'd know about it pretty darn quick. Now, if you were a football player with the Falcons and you got your head rattled, then you probably have a basilar skull fracture or whatever. So let's just set that aside. Whoever asked that question doesn't have intracranial hypotension. But all of us have flown in airplanes or gone up to the top of Brasstown Mountain in your car, and as you come back down, you have to pop your ears and do like that. or you've got your allergies and your sinus. So one of the real kind of common things that make people think their hearing is different is, one, they've taken a real hot shower and rinsed the wax out of their ears, or two, a chronic allergy has gotten better, and their middle ear, that where the little bones do like that, is draining better, and actually their hearing improves. And it might have been bad for 2 or 3 months, and then all of a sudden it gets a little bit better, and that's a kind of a not fatal bad explanation for it, and that's all there is to it.
Okay, let's move on to the second one. I have started having pain in my feet, just behind my toes. It only hurts if I sit for a while and then stand. I've experienced sharp pain in both feet, and it's painful to walk. Does this subside after I walk for maybe 5 minutes? So I wondered if I'm getting arthritis.
All right, Sam, you got the picture? Is it up? Now this question, I've got all these sources here. If you'll just look, there are about 50 lines on these pages here, and Sam's got an x-ray of the foot up on the screen, and if she's got it big enough, you'll see that there are yellow arrows and X's and so forth pointing to various portions of the forefoot. There are so many causes of forefoot discomfort, the front of the foot rather than the heel and the Achilles tendon, that we could stay here for a week talking about them. The question says that I feel better after I've been walking for about 5 minutes. So we know that this is a benign condition. Poor old Julio Jones missed about 2 or 3 games because of these symptoms. Mm-hmm. He was called turf toe. Now, turf toe is a post-traumatic forefoot discomfort that's common because of artificial turf, where the big toe gets pulled back like that, and then within the next few hours or days, severe pain begins to occur in the forefoot, such that you can't run well, and that's due to a stretch of the tendon underneath the big toe. That pain does not go away in 5 minutes, and so anything else, a fracture, or you got a big old black toenail or something, we'll put all those aside. But getting up then into this, my foot is painful for 5 minutes and then gets better, then that generally is an arthritic condition in the forefoot, and I'm going to take off my shoe and use it for an example. But being an older guy, like my mother used to wear Boy Scout shoes in a formal party or something because she wasn't going to have painful feet. Women particularly are wearing shoes, now Sam's not, but women who are working at the bank or whatever are wearing high heel shoes, gets their foot up there like that. The style is kind of tight in front, so when they are walking, or even men who have tight dress shoes on, which you don't, and most people up here in the mountains don't, then that is tight across the forefoot like this. And then if you look at that picture there, right here where the big toe hits your foot, you'll notice I got a little bump there because I'm a little bit older, and my foot over 77 years and running 40 miles a week for 40 years, then that arthritic thing you would call a bunion doesn't hurt a bit. But it's a minor, take my shoe off, you can see there's a little bump there. So the tendency for style is to have a shoe that's a little bit too tight. The one thing that's really people, they can't hardly walk, is a Morton's neuroma. And that generally occurs where the 4th and 5th toes, or the 3rd and 4th toes, right here where the toe hits the base of the foot, the pressure from the tightness makes a little bump on the nerve, and the nerve hurts like the devil, particularly if you're running or playing sports. But early on, it meets this criteria. You wake up, your foot hurts like the devil, 5 or 10 minutes later it gets better. So the answer to this question is there are 100 things that can do it. The most common one is early arthritic conditions of your feet. The most common causation of that is you work on your feet all day long, like people do in construction or people down here at the retail stores, Ingles or whatever, and they're up on their feet all day. And I would say that if you're going to spend any money on something, it's not necessarily the brand, but you should have foot gear that is comfortable, well padded, and allows enough four foot spread when you stand and step, because when you stand and step, 100% of your body weight when you're taking a step like that is on the great toe and these toes right there where the toes hit your foot. And if you're wearing shoes that you bought at some discount place because they look pretty good and they were cheap and they're hard as a rock and they're not well padded, I tell you to go get yourself a Dr. Scholl's insert or something, but don't skimp on your shoes. Make sure that they're wide enough for your foot, and as you get older, you're going to have arthritis in your feet because you stand on them all day, and 100% of your weight hits that part of your foot. Lastly, then, we've talked about this before in terms of back pain. Let's say you've got somebody, you got a man whose weight when he was 30 years old was 150, and he now weighs 200. And he's weighed 200, he went to weight 150, and then he weighed 160, then 170, then 180, and it took him 15 or 20 years to gain that 50 pounds. When he wakes up every morning, it's like he's strapping on a 50-pound sack of sand, walking around on it. And when you're walking around on a bad pair of shoes with a 50-pound sack of sand on your shoulders, you're going to get arthritis in your feet, and that's going to be what you're going to have that condition right there. You're going to complain about your feet. That's enough of that one.
Well, Dr. Whaley, closing out this morning, it is the holiday season, and at this time, is it normal? And this is the question: is it normal to feel sad or depressed during the holidays?
All right, I brought this up a couple of weeks ago. This is called seasonal affective disorder. And is it normal? It is common. People without any particular mental health issues, they're going to go home, and you got the crazy uncle who's going to be there for the big meal, or you've got these family dynamic things that occur at holidays that are uncomfortable and unfortunate. You've got, mama was divorced, or this kid married somebody we don't like. And so that sort of thing that happens at home and causes disruption, that is normal. But that's different from the seasonal affective disorder, which is a real depressive condition, more common than we would like to say. People who live north of the Arctic Circle, where it's dark much of the day, it's a significant issue that actually is a public health issue. There are a few questions that I'm going to ask them. I'm going to read them out to people to let you know whether this is we don't like the crazy uncle, or I'm worried about this guy my daughter married, or whether this becomes some sort of mental health issue that you ought to discuss with your primary care doc and even consider whether or not you might need medication or some counseling. First one is there any change in your sleep length? So you have difficulty falling to sleep, you're waking up in the middle of the night, you're waking up prematurely, and your sleep has actually changed, and you can check that off. That says yes, this may be that's one of the indicators this might be a little bit more serious. The second one is it interfering with your social activity? That means your family and your friends, and are you doing less well at work? Does your overall subjective feeling of well-being, I'm happy enough with my life, my back hurts, I'm eating a new truck or whatever, but is your satisfaction with your daily life going down? Is there any significant and unexplained change in weight? Not necessarily loss of weight, but gain of weight, which may mean that your eating pattern has changed, it's got affecting the sleep disorder or whatever. But if there's an unexplained change in weight, your overall sense of mood has gone down, your interaction with your friends, co-workers, and family is diminished. Is your appetite gone down? Has your appetite gone up? Is it a sudden change in appetite? And is there a significant change in your energy? Not your, not your stamina. You can run a mile in 12 minutes, or you're able to do the weightlifting or whatever it is, but you're sort of get up and go. You wake up in the morning and it's like that. Then that really is a depressive disorder, seasonal affective disorder, or you may be somewhat depressed all year round, and it's worse in the winter time and around Christmas, and that's the guy that ought to go talk to his doctor. So it's normal to have these situational things that happen at Christmas. Yes, that's normal. But if you answer yes to a lot of those questions there, then you may also be clinically depressed, and you ought to talk to your family doctor about it.
Thank you, Dr. Whaley. I appreciate it. I know during the holiday season, some people are experiencing for the first time being without a loved one for the year. It's the first Christmas that someone is not with them. So there are several reasons why they may feel depressed during the holidays that they didn't last year, or different changes in their life have taken place throughout the year.
Right, well, let me give you a personal example. We sold our Atlanta home a year ago, and for the last 47 years, we've had 4 kids, 7 grandkids. Well, as we got older, but we've had the entire family in our home during the Christmas season. My wife's put up a Christmas tree that was 10 feet tall, and we've had a dinner party for 30 to 40 guests. So this is the first year we haven't done it, and I feel kind of lost. It's empty nester. They're supposed to be really happy about being an empty nester. I think being an empty nester ain't all it's cracked up to be. So even my own, myself personally, I am seeing and I am feeling a sense of loss. It's a change in my life that the house is gone and we're not doing all this stuff. We're going to go do something else. We're going to New York with the family, and there's going to be stress up there with that thing. And so even personally, I'm having some of that. Yes, that's normal. But my weight hadn't changed and my energy is still good.
Dr. Whaley, we always like to save a couple minutes during this segment. Is if you have anything that you've researched throughout the week. Every once in a while you may say something political, every once in a while, but it's kind of like your time for what would you like to share with the audience this morning? You always have a closing thought. What's Dr. Whaley's closing thought for the day?
I'm going to stay out of the sexual harassment thing, because I think that's gone absolutely crazy. I will say I'm proud of what our president is doing, and I am absolutely appalled at the people that are just trying to cut his feet out from under him. And my dad was an FBI agent for all the time I was a young man, and he thought that J. Edgar Hoover, the sun rose and set between his shoulders. And when my dad went in the FBI, there are only 200 agents in the whole United States. There are 200 in Atlanta now, but I can guarantee you my dad wouldn't have done any of those things that some of these FBI agents are said to have done. I don't think that is the rank and file FBI agent. I've got one of my nurse's sons is a Secret Service agent, and those people seem to me to be just like Marines. They're great people, and these are political appointees that aren't agents out in the field. They're up there in the Washington office where the swamp is, where you say you had to dig down in there. And as you well know, 97% of the federal government in Washington, D.C. is liberal and democratic. It's worse than the daggum New York Times. That's enough politics. The last thing I wanted to say was, we talk about pet of the week.
Yes.
There's been so many studies. We were sitting here talking a few months ago about the fact that people who are lonely, let's say an elderly person living alone, having a pet increases their satisfaction with life, provides companionship, and we all have supported that this is a real measurable thing that you could sort of put on a scale and say this elderly person, or this person who has a pet is a little bit more healthy and a little more emotionally healthy than the one who doesn't. Well, there was a big study that just came out of Scandinavia again, where you can always do studies because they're socialistic. You don't have to have anybody's permission, and they're a very uniform population in terms of demographics. They took 9,000 people that randomly had pets or didn't have pets, and then they subjected them to all of these things that we've said pets help you with. Is their weight lower? Because the theory is you got to go walk the dog and you're burning up some calories. Is your mental health better? Are you better adjusted, less depressed, less anxious? And every one of those measures were not statistically different. So this is the only study I've ever seen that says having these pets doesn't help you any. We've got all these service dogs on airplanes and everything. So back to the pet of the week. I'm still encouraging my patients and the viewers. If you got an elderly person and they can take care of a pet, then go down and get the pet of the week, and it's going to help you.
I thank you with that. I believe. And they have a lot of dogs there. We had one last week that would just make a great companion. And there's a time in your life where you may want a companion, and I agree with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Whaley. We want to thank the Georgia Cancer Specialist for this segment every week. We appreciate it. We appreciate Dr. Whaley. Now, if you ever have a question for the doctor, you can send that to info, I-N-F-O, info@fetchernews.com. Put in the subject, Ask the Doc, so we know that. We get the questions to Dr. Whaley in the middle of the week. We try to get all of them on, but he does email back to someone if we can't get it on for any reason. He'll send an email back. But we do try to get every one of the questions on the air for the doctor. We try to get those to him by Wednesday. info@fetchernews.com. Ask the Doc. Dr. Whaley, thank you very much.
No technology questions. I know nothing about that thing. Bluetooth, I know.
Pain in the neck. He's pretty good with a pain in the neck. That would be me.
Yeah,
or Rick.
right.
So as soon as we're done, we're going to try to roll Rick off the futon. All right? And it'll be time for our all-star political panel. And we know you enjoy that every week. So thank you again, Georgia Cancer Specialist, Dr. William Whaley. Time for our all-star political panel after these messages. Take us to break, Sam.